Good morning and welcome to the Sunday service, both those here and on Zoom. This morning we will start with a loving kindness meditation, followed by 10 or 15 minutes of meditation, and then a Dhamma talk by our temple's good friend Salish Mahajan, and question and answer, and close with a short chant. Thank you. Analoka?
Now we are going to practice the loving kindness meditation. Take a moment to relax yourself. Breathe in and breathe out. You can find the comfort as you like. It could be on a chair, on your bed, on a cushion. Only if you are comfortable, you can close your eyes. Breathe in and breathe out. And let yourself relax. We are going to focus on the meditation thoughts, loving kindness thoughts on page 11 in IBMC chanting book. Spread loving kindness thoughts to yourself first, and then to your family members, and finally to the whole universe. May I be well and happy, peaceful and free from suffering. May no harm come to me. May no difficulties come to me. May no problems come to me. May I always find fulfillment. May I also have patience, courage, understanding, and determination to meet and overcome the inevitable difficulties, problems, and failures in life. May my teachers, all Dharma teachers, parents, brothers and sisters, friends and relatives, my enemies, be well and happy, peaceful and free from suffering. May no harm come to them. May no difficulties come to them. May no problems come to them. May they always find fulfillment. May they also have patience, courage, understanding, and determination to meet and overcome the inevitable difficulties, problems, and failures in life. Like this, you can practice loving kindness thoughts. Spread these loving kindness thoughts to the whole universe. When you hear the bell, you can stop your silent meditation. May all beings in the universe be well, happy, and peaceful.
Now we'll have the Dharma talk by Salish, who's been a good friend of the temple for many years, and today made the trip up from Orange County to be here in person, and we thank you for making the trip.
Venerable sirs, friends in Dhamma, as usual, it's always joyful to join this Dhamma session and talk about some of the Buddha's teaching. I'd like to start with a story of this couple, the parents to Nakula, that's a name, young man's parents, and they've been married for a few decades, and they wanted to talk to the Buddha and get some instruction about having each other as spouses. So they asked the Buddha, what can we do to continue be as a couple in next life and many lives? And Buddha advised them, yes, it's possible. You both have to practice the equal amount of Shraddha, Sila, Chaga, and Panya. So those are 4 terms, and in Pali, in English, it would be confidence, equal amount of confidence, morality, generosity is a loose translation, or letting go, practice of letting go, and wisdom. And that was the advice, and I wanted to share that because we're coming to the end of the year, and we all look for a resolution. And in many interaction with people, when you listen to Dhamma talks, Buddhism has been portrayed mostly as a pessimistic teaching. But if you look into the Buddha's teaching, you find a large amount of instruction and advice that can make our, for a happy life, for meaningful life. So this advice was given to stay as a couple for many lifetime. And last 10 months, I missed the November talk. Last 10 months, we've been talking about Abhidhamma teaching, that is the psychology or Buddhist psychology. And today I was, last night and day before, I got some time to prepare for this talk. And I thought to talk about, how is the life process come to an end and how new life starts. We've heard a few terms, and we talked about different kind of mental factors. And at the beginning of a human life, according to the Buddha's teaching, there is this life-generating consciousness. And that consciousness arises and starts a new life. And at the end of a human life, there is a departing consciousness. Now, the interesting explanation in Abhidhamma is both the life, the beginning consciousness and the departing consciousness, they both take the same object. So what would be the object? Well, in many, we think that life is such a long journey, but when you look at the bigger picture, if you go a little further out and look at the life continuation, one human life is very short period, right? And in Buddhism, we talk about samsara, the cycle of lives. We've been born as humans and many other forms for many times, thousands of times. And in those times, deep down, we are somewhat consistent. So in those objects, the explanation is either it is latent ignorance or latent craving. So deep down, we have unknown, or we're not even aware of what kind of person we are. As we grow older, I have a 3-year-old daughter. As she is growing older, I see that personality is changing. And as the person gets education, gets different job, different relationship, we continue to add different characteristics. But deep down, there is something that we are less aware of. And when we do loving kindness meditation, and when Bhante Panyaloka led, or any of you practice loving kindness, what we're trying to do is try to not purify, but try to reduce that dirt. Imagine we get into a house, if it is full of dirt, we're trying to find the foundation. So we have to clean from the surface. So practicing loving kindness could be one way to find out what is our deep down self. Who are we? What is our ignorance? What is our craving about life? And Buddhism, we believe that this life doesn't end. As long as we are making new karma, we continue to have another life. So in that journey, the Buddha's teaching is like you can make that journey somewhat easier. And that's why the Buddha's advice to Nakula's parents. And those qualities, I wanted to briefly talk and hear any questions if you have. Those 4 qualities are very important qualities. You can choose any one. The first one is Shraddha, or Saddha in Pali, or in Sanskrit, Shraddha, which means confidence. Now, this is different than what we call faith. There is faith and confidence could be a little different. In Pali, we call bhakti. Bhakti means some kind of trust toward certain individuals or certain power without questioning. In Buddhism, we use confidence. Confidence doesn't come out until you fully know who you are investing your confidence in. And confidence in Buddhism is you having trust toward the Buddha's principles, the teaching, his students, and the Buddha himself. And you don't place your confidence in Buddha just because he was a Buddha. You examine yourself. You examine your own experience. In samsara, we have the different types of dissatisfaction, right? And if we realize that life is constantly changing from the moment we were born all the way to death, and it doesn't stop there, we will have another round of life. And in a grand scheme of this life cycle, how do we get out of this cycle? And one way to find out is who has done it before. So in a book I've been reading, Decisive, when you have a problem, I think it's in saying, right? You don't need to reinvent the wheel if it has already been invented. So if you have a similar problem, look who has solved that problem. And in our problem of life, we see the Buddha did that. The Buddha has solved the problem by identifying the root cause of our problem, which is in Pali we call dukkha, or dissatisfaction. So we place our confidence in the Buddha because we share some of his experience and his solution, which he showed, hey, you're going to go through the same process. Just, I know you might not be aware of it, but just watch. As you're born, aging, sickness, being with somebody that you don't like, separating from the one you like, those are all cause for dissatisfaction. So he did the solution. That's why we can place trust or confidence in him. It's not because he's great. He was the Buddha. And also teaching. His teaching is more so not to build. I have never, I was Buddhist monk for 16 years, and I have seen many countries, cultures. I have never seen that we try to, in a way we try to build bigger community, but Buddha's teaching is mostly to alleviate your life sufferings. You try to reduce at least one sadness, one problem that you're dealing with. So the teaching is more to practice. Teaching is to help you see life with little clarity. And that's why when we read the chanting in Pali, there's a line called Ehipassiko Opanayiko. Come and visit, test it to yourself. It's almost like experimenting. You're given a medicine, you don't need to take it and accept, believe that will help, but try it out. When you practice, like the easiest example is loving kindness. And I have taught my friends, my colleagues in my classes, my students, and even inmates when I work with inmates in a prison system. And they would have a lot of doubt, like none of the meditation worked for me. And I challenged them, give me 10 minutes. If I didn't put you to sleep, we'll never try again. And I succeeded, not 100%, but most of the time they are able to relax. So that's what we call Ditta Dhamma. The result of practice is evident in this very life. You see the change. One inmate, he served as a veteran and he has a severe PTSD. And when he comes to class, he's falling asleep because he couldn't sleep at night because of nightmares, a lot of memories. So I taught the same meditation to him, and I teach one month to this one group. It's a monthly session, 1 month session. So at the end of the class, he reported that he was able to sleep at night. So the skill that he learned, he tried it. I didn't even tell him, but he found it helpful and he found the result. In a very small example, you see, that's what the use of Dhamma. Dhamma is to make your life in any possible way better. Should reduce the distress. It should reduce the not so much physical suffering, but more mental suffering. Mental suffering, which we sort of make it worse. If you have a pain in your knee, if you constantly dislike that pain, try to push it away, physical pain might be tolerable, but the psychological suffering will become a lot harder because you just magnified. There's a term in psychology, when you try to not think about pink elephant. As soon as I say pink elephant, it might pop in your head now. I don't know if there is a real pink elephant exist, but as soon as you say it, it comes to your mind. And I tell you, okay, don't think about pink elephant, but anything else. You have to hold that object with your consciousness and at the same time try to suppress it. Now you're already holding that object. You can't have two objects held in your mind simultaneously. It's impossible. That's what Buddhist psychology is about. So when you hold that object, there's a rebound effect. It becomes more prominent. It becomes more obvious to your mind. And that's where pain gets worse. Physical pain becomes psychological suffering. So using Dhamma, coming back to the topic, should help you to reduce that distress that we deal with. And same with the teacher, the Bantes. We see Panyalogo Bante and I'm trying to point out, but I forgot names. But all Bantes here, they are showing an example of monastic life. And I lived that life for 16 years. And in that journey, we try to, one, I think, model it's a possible life journey. Two, also continuing that tradition, protecting Dhamma, preserving the teaching and dedicating your life to protect Dhamma. We wouldn't have this Buddhist teaching, if you learn some history, Sri Lankan and Thailand, Myanmar Buddhist history. There was a time that everybody gave up. There was a destruction from the foreign forces, other religion, and even natural disaster. There was long famine that killed a lot of monks, and they had to memorize all these chantings, all the suttas by heart. And some people dedicated their entire life to preserve Dhamma. So I appreciate so much the Buddha's teaching because I learned that history, and it just, mind-blowing how these monks protected Dhamma for hundreds of years. So we have it now. It's in a most fascinating protection we have. It's available everywhere. You can read Dhamma anywhere in any part of the world now. That was not the case. So thinking that helps you to have some confidence in teaching. The bhikkhus, the monks, those are the three we call gems, right? Triple gems. That's where you place your confidence. And it's not out of fear, out of threat, or your immense respect. It's out of understanding. Hey, I trust these three gems because it will help my life. It's a little bit selfish, sort of. Selfish is a strong word, but you think of your self-benefit. Benefit. It is where you place confidence. And when you have higher level of confidence, your doubt is lesser. Imagine a Buddha comes during our lifetime. That's a good imagination, right? Thinking that there will be one Buddha during our lifetime. Wouldn't that be amazing? So who will get to hear and listen the Dhamma? And in the Buddhism, there are stories. Buddha would always choose the person who has high confidence, because it's easy for those people to hear and practice. And that's what he did. If you think of how Buddha started his journey, as soon as he became enlightened, there were a lot of people interested in Buddhism, interested in some kind of life-changing teachings. But he chose 5 friends who were in the same pursuit. It was the very first 5 monks. Why? Because they already had that confidence. They worked together and they knew this person will bring something new, different teaching. So that's how he started. He went to these 5 monks. So same thing could happen to us. If you have high confidence, you have low doubt, and you will give it a shot. So that's where the confidence is very important skill you can practice. And the second one is sila. I'll keep it short. It's a way of judging what is right and wrong. I just did my qualifying exam yesterday. There was a big question on ethics. You're dealing with I'm in this education leadership program, give you like random questions, some very complicated situation. How do you apply your ethics? And my immediate reaction, like, I don't want to solve this, but I had to write the response. In Buddhism, it gives very simple solution. How do you know what is right and wrong? There's a 3 way to look at it. 1, is it affecting or benefiting yourself? That's 1. 2, is it affecting or benefiting someone else, the others? That's 2. A third one, I'm still wondering why. Is it affecting both parties, you and others? And if it is benefiting you and others and both, then it is called kusala. That's called wholesome practice, right? And if it is not benefiting you or other or both parties, then it's called akusala, unwholesome practice. So that's how you use this moral judgment in Buddhism. And when you know that clearly, it becomes easier to choose what kind of job, what kind of action should we engage in. And that's in sum, that's morality. And we have 5 precepts, 10 precepts. If you're a monk, you have 213 precepts or 20 precepts. It's a lot more. In all essence, it's trying to teach you, can you choose what is wholesome and what is unwholesome? That's the second practice we can choose, we can try to cultivate. The third one is generosity. I like to call it letting go. A lot of people think generosity is to accumulate merit. That's a byproduct of letting go. It's a generosity, thinking of merit or sin. People donate, give away their belongings, time, that could be one, to accumulate merit, which is good, we need it, but you don't need to expect. How do we turn this practice of letting go into a wholesome practice? So if you expect something in return, that will be considered merit. But if you're practicing letting go, literally, to reduce that attachment, reduce that desire to have, desire to own, desire to possess, that's the reason we practice letting go or generosity. The chaga is not for merit purpose, but more for reducing that clinginess or craving or that attachment toward your belongings. And that's where it becomes kusala practice or wholesome practice. And that is the third one. The last one is very important one, is wisdom. It's not knowledge. Knowledge is considered as a type of aggregate, right? We call sankhara. It's a kind of a disposition. Knowledge is disposition. Wisdom is different because wisdom comes from experiential knowledge. We can learn, we can read about impermanence. A lot of books, there are a lot of books on mindfulness, a lot of teachers, a lot of suttas, Mahayana, Theravada, and even beyond Buddhist schools, they talk about impermanence. But none of those books will give you any wisdom. They will give you knowledge. Book will give you knowledge about impermanence. Wisdom it's your self-experience. If you can spend 10 minutes practicing loving kindness, practicing mindfulness meditation, and experience what impermanence is, You focus on pain, you focus on your breath. As you watch very mindfully, in that moment, you notice the sensation is changing. It was pleasant to start to change, a little unpleasant. It started to be comfortable to discomfort, discomfort disappearing, shifting the focus of pain or sensation. And as you are closed-eyed, very present, and observing that constant change and interaction between your mind and body, that momentary experience is called that wisdom. That's arising of wisdom. And that wisdom is powerful. And when I think we talked a little bit in our previous discussion, enlightenment, birth, death, all of these are happening in one mind moment. Enlightenment is not a place to go and like see all the beauties. It's a mind moment. It's so fast. It is no way to measure it. Within a snap, a split second, you can have thousands of thoughts arisen and passed away. So enlightenment is that fast. And when you have well-cultivated wisdom, it becomes very sharp. Right now, if you are a long practitioner of mindfulness, your attention is very good. You can quickly experience those changes. But if you've not done it enough, then it's a little dull. You may not notice any sensations. And once it becomes sharper, you're very quick to pay attention and you see those changes. And that's the small moments of wisdom you're trying to accumulate that leads to that shift from being normal person to, I almost call abnormal, but not abnormal, like a, beyond normal. That's what we call lokuttara, right? Supramundane. Yeah, super normal, which is, it's fascinating. If you read the Abhidhamma, you find it's nothing more than just the mind moment. You experience, you see that it's a stream entrance, non-returner, once returner, the arahant or enlightened one, those are all one mind moment. That's what we're trying to get. And that's what we're trying to experience. I'm sorry to use the word get. It's like, if we wish we can get it like something physical, it's the mental experience. And the fascinating thing that Buddha discovered was once you experience that the enlightenment stage, even it is a one mind moment, it's irreversible. It does not go back from being super normal to normal. And that takes a journey. And I always say this, we have been in this journey for a long time. We've met this in this setting or similar setting many lives. And that's why we continue to meet. Now, I'm from Nepal, Bantes are from Sri Lanka. I'm sure you all from different places. Why we meet again? Why we reunite again? Well, Dhamma is bringing us together. And we are in this cycle of samsara with some common goal, which is probably becoming enlightened at some point. And to make that journey easy and to conclude my talk, so we can think of those four. So one is confidence in Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. Again, not because you're scared of the Buddha or you have immense respect, but you think of how it will benefit your life journey. And practicing morality, choosing right and wrong, using those three scales, and letting go and practicing wisdom. So that will help our life. And the reason I wanted to share that is I mentioned the beginning of life and the end of life consciousness. They share same object. And if we change in between, that's the time of our show, right? In between, whatever you do will alter the latent ignorance and latent craving. It will reduce. And that's what we want to make that shift. That's the time we have. And when we change, it would lead toward a little better, and ultimately some people can become enlightened. And not only for ourselves, if you have somebody being married or you want to be with the same person for many lives, there you go. Those are the four qualities you equally practice. And if you want to stay away from a person that, I don't want that person again in my life, there's a solution. you do more than the other person does in those four qualities, right? So it's just like, okay, this is how I go apart. So I hope you will choose one of those or any that to make your life better at the end of this year. And thank you so much.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments? Yes.
Yes, Russell.
I would like to say you're such an excellent minister. I feel like if I'm in the prison of the world, you kind of open the bars, at least for a few moments. Besides learning a lot, I missed a little something. I think when you were talking about the pink elephant and some sort of rebound, but I kind of got a little bit mixed up there.
Oh, okay.
Did you say you couldn't have two objects at once or something like that?
Yes. So in Abhidhamma at the beginning, there is a gatha called Ekupada Ekanirodha Ekalambana. So that in Pali, it's like our mind, our consciousness can only arise with a mental factor. So consciousness itself will never exist without a thought. Let's keep it that way. It's a mental factor or a thought. A consciousness is always associated with a thought, and it can only hold one thought at a time. So our consciousness cannot hold two different thoughts simultaneously. What we see, so I know it's a little mind-boggling to some people. How about multitasking? And if you look into psychology research, you will find it's not multitasking, it's task shifting. Let's say you're driving and you're talking and having coffee, and also the radio is playing. So like four things happening. People do. I did it. I was driving, I was listening to an audiobook. What we do is it's a quick shift between two activities. And if you have four, I mean, that's pretty rapid. And that's what happens with our consciousness. We can only hold one thought at a time. And when you do experiment, like, can you close your eyes and don't think about pink elephant? It holds the pink elephant as that's a thought, as an object, not to think about it, but you're holding it with your consciousness. And you try to suppress. It's an example for thought suppression doesn't work. You try to suppress, but your consciousness is holding this thought, not to think of. It's already holding. That's where you have rebounds effect. It will be more prominent to your mind because you're telling your mind, hey, don't think about this one, but you're holding in your consciousness. You're trying to suppress. So it doesn't work because of the principle. It can only hold one thought at a time. Does that help?
Yes. Is that scientifically that you in your mind you can only hold one thought at a time? I mean, we all think that, as you said, that we're multitasking,
Mm-hmm.
5 things at one time, but you said that's actually
Task shifting. Yes, your attention shift from one to another, rather than you divide your attention to 3 different tasks. So I have done some research. I teach in my psychotherapy class. They asked this question, and I found attention is just one. You can only focus on one object, one activity at a time. If you're doing multiple things, it's a rapid shift between activities. And I'm not sure how far this is true. I've also learned computers, right? Human-made computers. Computers, man-made computers, your computer can only run one program at a time. What it does is it loads the other program in the background, but the current focus is only on one application. I don't know how much that helps, but because human made this, so they have a replica of how mine works.
okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
I can only focus on one speaker at a time.
But that's the Buddhist psychology. It explains in detail you cannot have 2 competing thoughts simultaneously. Yes.
You think of going back to the virtue, can you think of an action when judging something as skillful that would meet the first 2 criteria, or beneficial to self, beneficial to other, but not beneficial to both, like not meeting the very criteria but meets the first 2? Can you give an example?
If you I know I always thought, like, if it is beneficial to you, Now, the question is you and the other, or you or the other? Let's say generosity, giving away, beneficial to you spiritually, right? And the person who receives can have something for the other, and it's benefiting both of you, both parties. Is that, and I think it's, I thought about that, you know, when I read in what is called kusala and akusala. I think just trying to make sure that you are not ignoring that you, other, and both parties at the same time. So yeah, that's a little challenging. If you think of, like, I think of the example from discipline. There's a principle of discipline, and there's one very strict rule for monks: should not encourage or kill a human being. That's a very major offense, and for high ordained monks, bhikkhus shouldn't do that. And in Pali, the script is little nice detail. You know, people can encourage someone to die, so that would benefit you, but not the other, right? And in that example, I'm trying to see if I can explain it. The example says you should not even praise about death. So if someone comes to you and asks you, my life is worthless, I don't want to live. So if you even praise, even at a very small level, oh yeah, life is worthless, you should just kill yourself, would be considered an offense for a monk. So in that situation, I see that, you know, it's not good for the person, not good for yourself, and both parties. So I'm trying to think of different example. I don't know if that helped.
No, I think that helps.
Okay.
Anyone else? Okay, thank you.
I would like to disagree for the context of the system.
The Nakulamata.
Little bit, like if you own permit.
Oh, sure, Bande, sure. Sure, Bande. Yeah.
So in the sutta, like saying about the samasaddha, it's like confidence. But these both, they have confidence. I'm like faith in the Buddha. They're Buddhists already. But the context of the sutta, what I understood, what I read, may be different from other people. What I understand is that the context of the sutta is teaching about the trust, mutual trust. Both husband and wife should have trust each other, not betraying, you know, someone's trust. I don't think it's like purely on the faith in the Buddha. If we say it is purely on the faith of the Buddha, that means Buddhism preventing interracial, interreligious marriage. The question is, like, if someone say we have to have equal level of confidence in the Buddha, then the question arises when, you know, like a Christian partner, our spouse, having the Buddhist partner, then there will be a clash because they don't have equal confidence in the Buddha. So, but the context of the sutta, what I read is like mutual confidence rather than it is religious, just in between the spouses. That's what my understanding, reading. So I may be wrong, but I just want to get, you know, ideas about your ideas, more ideas. Thank you.
Thank you, Bante. Yes, I mean, we can interpret different ways, and I think I'm with you. You know, it's not about just Buddhism. It's again thinking from the bigger picture, and I don't think there's any problem to have faith in Christianity or Islam or Hinduism. It's not a problem to have different faiths, as long as, if you think of like in a bigger picture, is it going to alleviate your, you know, problem in life and eventually lead to freeing from this cycle of life? So And there was actually this different example might help you. When Buddha was asked, and in his 80th, he was close to be passing away, and last few months of his life, someone came to the Buddha and asked, like, who do I trust? Who should I follow? Does it always need to be Buddha? And Buddha's answer was very clear. Oh, no. As long as there is 8 noble path involved in any teaching, go for it. Don't ask about who the teacher is. As long as there is 8 noble path, the Saddha, Sammaditthi, Samma Sankappa, all those 8, right understanding, right concept, right speech, action, effort, concentration, and the last one, mindfulness, right? So if you find those 8 noble paths in any teacher, any teaching, go for it. Whether it is labeled as Christianity, Sai Baba, it could come in many forms. And that's my take on that 4 level of Saddha, Samasaddha, Samacaga, Samapanya, and Samasila. It's about what will make your life free from this cycle. And if it is taught by a very different name, different form, it doesn't matter. As long as you find those 8 noble paths, you are good to follow. Because Buddha knew 8 noble path will never wrong you. It will not mistaken your life. And that eventually should lead to freeing from cycle of samsara. So, and I think if you think from a little, just to help Bante to bigger perspective, it's not only about, you can see there should be mutual respect, but my question would be like, okay, that's a Samasaddha, that's good. How about Samapanya? So how do we interpret that part for husband and wife or a couple? So what does that imply in terms of equal wisdom on what base? So that's where I see its 4 principles are mainly to practice. And it's also an encouragement for both. Hey, if you are in this spiritual journey, make sure you invite the other person in this journey. You have equal virtues that you can rise together, and those minds meet again. So I don't know, but that helps.
Oh, I remember one occasion, like about the wisdom, like having the wisdom, it's like so. In one occasion, Buddha says, like, we can understand the Panya wisdom only through discussion. That means to get thrown in the heart to discuss, like very wisely to avoid problems. So at that level, like we have maybe different levels, we have different interpretation about that wisdom. So like something related to like mutual progress in the family. That's what happens. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Salish.
Thank you.
We'll now do a short chanting. Have to change positions. We'll chant pages 4 and page 10. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddham saranam gacchami. Dhammam saranam gacchami. Sangham saranam gacchami. Sentient beings are numberless. I vow to save them all. Deluding passions are inexhaustible. I vow to end them all. Dharma gates are limitless. I vow to study them all. Buddha's way is supreme. I vow to attain it. May suffering ones be suffering free, and the fear-struck fearless be. May the grieving shed all grief, and the sick find health relief. When ye do kongadu ukfoka punyate enyai tu chunga change ai kon san pa tao. When ye do kongadu ukfoka punyate enyai chunga change san pa tao. When ye do kongadu ukfoka punyate enyai tu chunga change ai kon san pa tao. Om Mani Padme Hum. Thank you, everyone. Just one or two announcements. Next week, Sabodha will give the Dharma talk, and the following week, Chandasara. The temple is open. We encourage you to come. We will have Zoom until the end of the year. And after that, we will record and post Dharma talks on YouTube. But being here at the temple has a real benefit. Spending some time together with your Sangha helps your practice. So we encourage you to come down. And we have tea and cookies after the. Any other announcements? All right, thank you very much. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.